to the podcast. Oh my gosh, my very first episode when I showed my husband the cover art for the podcast. He said it was giving, I'm so organized. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and wear shoes on the couch while I read erotica energy. And that is 100% accurate in what this podcast is all about. We are definitely going to be talking about getting organized in a new way because the same old shit just has not been working for you. I know it. I've been there. And so we are going to do things differently. We're going to laugh, we're going to cry, and we're really going to change our lives along the way. So today, for my very first episode, I want to start by getting personal and let you in on a little secret. I do love the feeling of being productive, but I also love to lounge on the couch for hours and do absolutely nothing and stay in super comfy clothes all day and not leave my house. Like my dream Sunday is not leaving the house, believe it or not. And when I was in that inertia of wanting to do absolutely nothing, I would wait for motivation to strike so I could get my butt up and do something, anything. And I realized it ain't happening because as much as I enjoy doing nothing, when I truly actually do nothing for a sustained amount of time, I don't actually feel good. And I realized that no amazing stroke of motivation was going to come fall in my lap. No one was coming to save me. Ugh, gosh darn it. And I needed a new strategy. Because like I said, as much as I enjoy doing nothing, and I still do, I actually don't feel my best if I don't have a balance of staying organized and being on top of my to-do list, because that laying around doing nothing is not actually restful and rejuvenating when you have a huge to-do list hanging over your head. And instead of really enjoying that downtime, I was beating myself up for not doing more or stressing out all the things I had to get done. So I really wanted to figure out how I could create a life that had that guilt-free downtime, but not just guilt-free. It was downtime, not that I had to earn, but where truly I had expansiveness in my life and there just wasn't anything else that had to be done. But in order to get there, I had to get some stuff done first. So I came up with this mantra that changed everything for me. And it's not the mood, doing it anyway, then it's done. So if you follow along on Instagram, my Instagram @gritandglam, you'll see that I talk about this a lot with working out, and I'll post my do it anyway, because we know that motivation may come. For some of us, it may indeed come at some point. It may fall in your lap if you are lucky enough, but it really is so fleeting, even for the most motivated of us. And it is oh so unreliable. We really need to train ourselves to do it anyway, even when it's hard, even when we are not in the mood. So in order to get any task done, especially one we don't want to do, and frankly, there's a lot of things I don't want to do because most of the time I just want to do nothing. But in order to get something done, we need to get super clear on what exactly it is that we need to do. A lot of times we're like, I have so many things to do, I have a million things to get done, but it's like, okay, but what are they actually? What are those specific things that need to get done? Why is it important to get done? Like, does it actually need to get done? Or is this just something you think you should do or something you're going to do because you've always done this? Like, why is it important to get it done? Super important to define that for ourselves to make sure this is something we even need to be doing. And figure out what your plan is to implement it. We really need an action plan. Okay. So this whole idea of do it anyway is really important if you know what exactly it is you want to do, why it's important, and what your plan is to implement it. But that's not enough unfortunately, because if you're anything like me, you'll come up with a million excuses of why you still can't do the thing. Our excuses can be super strong or they can not be, but we will come up with all of them. So, what I have found super helpful is that if you know your excuses in advance, you can have your argument ready. Yes, it is you against you, right? We really are our own worst enemy at times. We are the ones holding ourselves back, or rather, our negative thought patterns are, which we'll get into it another time. But this really is you against you. So if you know you're going to have excuses, it can be super helpful to think in advance how you're going to combat that. So for me, I always use this example of working out because every morning it is the very first thing I have to do, and I don't want to do it. So it's like, well, why am I starting my day doing something I don't want to do? Well, I'll tell you why. I really feel so much better when I work out. I know all of us do. And working out can mean different things for, all of us. And for me, it's looked different through the years. Right now, I'm in a phase of trying to lift, not trying. I'm going to stop using try, where I am actually lifting heavier weights, heavy for me. And I feel good. I feel lean. I feel strong. And I want that feeling. I want to feel like I'm fit. And I'd heard someone say once they want to look like someone who works out. I'm like, I love that. I want to look like someone who works out. So I want that, but I cannot have that if I don't actually work out. So I really do want to work out, but I don't ever want to wake up in the morning. I'm a morning person in the sense that once I'm up, I can get going, but the getting up part is very hard. But I know at this point in my life, in my 40s, that if I don't work out in the morning, first thing, it literally is never going to happen. It's not going to happen for me. It is in the morning or it's never. Know thyself. So I have to do it in the morning. Period. Full stop. But every morning, almost every morning when I wake up, I'm like, oh, well, I could snooze for 30 more minutes and then I'd be 30 minutes more rested. Guess what? In 30 minutes, I'm still going to be tired. I'm not going to want to get up, but then I also won't have done my workout. Or I start this internal negotiation of like, okay, well, I have this pocket of time. I have a call that ends at 11 and another one that starts at 12. So I could work out from 11 to 12. No, I'm not, because guess what? I'm going to be hungry, or I'm going to have needed to be put together for that 11 o'clock call, having done my makeup. And then what? I'm going to like work out in between, then get myself ready again. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like for me, it just really works out best to work out in the morning. As the day goes on, my energy wanes. Sometimes I'll get a second wind, but that's at like 10 o'clock at night and I'm not working out then. So it is in the morning or never. But truly every morning I wake up and I have this debate with myself of like, where could I fit it in? What would it look like if I stayed in bed? I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And yet I do it. But I already know that I'm going to do it. And so what I say to myself is, you're not going to work out later. You're not going to want to do your makeup twice. Get up, get it done, and then you'll feel amazing. And then you can possibly start looking like someone who works out. I also feel like this is one of the big reasons I love a plan for anything, but particularly a workout plan, because I have a checklist and I will check it off and it keeps me on track. If I were waiting till I was in the mood, I would literally never do it. But I know what it is I need to do the night before. I will look at what the workout is. I know why it's important to me, and I know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my butt up. I'm going to go down to my basement. We put a gym in our basement a couple of years ago, and it's been a game changer for us. And I'm just going to do it. I know what my excuses are going to be. I know how I am going to combat them. And then I can actually get my workout done. So this is just one example, but this happens to me throughout the day where there are always things I don't want to do. It might be a task around the house. It might be a work thing I have to get done. It might be making a phone call. I mean, you name it. And here is the thing about being an adult. We have a lot of control over our lives in some ways. We can eliminate the things that bring us down. We can create a beautiful life that we love. But if you are someone like me that inherently loves to do nothing, you're going to have to do a lot of things throughout the day that you don't want to do. And you're going to have to figure out how you are going to combat that inertia of doing nothing so that you can show up in the world as who you want to be. And the other beautiful thing for me about doing something first thing in the morning that I don't want to do is I can look at myself in the mirror and say, you just did that. You weren't in the mood, but you did it anyway. And now it's done. And you can do things that are hard and you can accomplish these things. You can have a great day and then you can have your downtime every night and on the weekends. Not because I earned it. I think we all deserve to be relaxed and have downtime regardless. But for me, I can enjoy it so much more when I've done these other things that I didn't want to do, but that make me feel good. And I then don't have them hanging over my head. I really want us all to have downtime to do nothing, but I want us to be able to enjoy it without shame or without a lingering to-do list. So the best way to do that is to do your do it anyway tasks first so that you truly can enjoy. And you might be listening to this and being like, really? Working out is your thing that's so hard? Because for those of you who love working out, this example isn't going to resonate. But what is the thing for you that you're like, why is this so hard for me? This shouldn't feel hard. Well, shouldn't like who says, right? Who gets to decide? For whatever reason, it feels hard for you. What are those things? They might be things you have to do every single day on repeat, right? Packing kids' lunches or making dinner, or it could be those one-off things like making phone calls feels really hard for you, or you have a big work assignment that you've just been kicking the can down the road because you don't want to do it. And whatever it is that once you get done will make you feel so much better so that you can enjoy your downtime and frankly, just free up that mental space. Those are the things that I want you to think about and apply this framework to. So I actually created a journal for you that breaks down all these steps. At this point, I just do this in my head, but I still, as you can see, do this all day, every day. I mean, not all day, every day. Some things do get easier and sometimes you're more in the mood to do things than not, right? How I talked about in the beginning. Sometimes we are motivated and it comes to us and we should relish those times, right? Take full advantage. The point is we can't wait for it. So some days this is much easier for me than others, but I really always in some form or another go through this process in my mind. So I want you to download the journal that I created because I want you to start getting in the habit of going through this process. So in the beginning, it really might actually look like you are writing this down. Maybe you're printing a page out and doing this every day for working out, or maybe you've got a big task that you want to accomplish by the end of the week. Use the journal for that and keep using it until you feel like this is just a natural part of how you approach this process. So if you go to my website, gridandglam.com/do it anyway, gridandglam.com/do it anyway. This will be in the show notes if you don't know how to spell grid and glam. When people spell out websites, I'm always like, it's not computing for me. So I'm not even going to spell it out for you. Just go to the show notes. But it's gridandglam.com/do it anyway. And it's a totally free journal that you can download. It has this framework in it. And I want you to use it until you feel like this is just a natural way of how you approach things. Remember, it's not all of a sudden going to feel easier, but you are all of a sudden going to feel like you have a tool in your toolkit so that you can actually combat your excuses and get things done. So just to recap, we have to remember that motivation really is fleeting and so unreliable. So we can't wait for it. But if we want to be lazy, we need to really be productive first. And to do that, you need to know your what, why, and how. You need to be ready to combat your excuses. You need to come up with your mantra or steal mine, do it anyway. And then you get to enjoy being lazy. I want us to have a fun, beautiful life. And this tool is one of the ways that we can really get there every day. You are an amazing friend, and I can't wait to hear how much you love the Do It Anyway journal.